Academy, where brains go to broadcast.
Welcome to Cascademy. Today we're tackling a really crucial step for anyone who's ever gathered just a mountain of information and then stopped and wondered, okay, now what?
Right.
You know, you've done the digging, the reading, the note-taking, you feel ready to put it all together, but, well, how do you actually go from that pile of fascinating facts to something that's, you know, coherent, impactful?
Exactly. And it's tempting, isn't it? Especially when you're maybe newer to this process, to just try and string those notes together, sort of hope for the best.
Yeah, just list them out.
But that often leads to, well, kind of a tangled mess, really. Your own voice, your own insights, the important stuff you want to say, it just gets buried.
Okay.
So this session is all about making that transition, that smooth, critical move from just gathering information to crafting your own clear, compelling argument.
So our mission for you today, listening in, is to unlock the secrets to effectively using the knowledge you've found. Not just presenting it back, but truly owning it, making it your own. Get ready to transform those scattered notes into a powerful, well-organized message. Okay, let's unpack this. Before you even think about outlining or structuring, there's this vital step, and honestly, many people skip it. Reflection.
Yeah.
Think about it like a chef tasting their ingredients before they start cooking, right? You need to understand what you actually have.
That's a great analogy. And what's interesting here is that this isn't about rereading every single note you took. That would be, well, overwhelming.
For sure.
It's more about stepping back. A really good starting point is to just maybe write about your topic for a few minutes. But here's the key. Without looking at your notes.
Oh, interesting. Just free writing.
Exactly. Just using the overall impressions, the big concepts, maybe surprising things you remember absorbing while you were doing the research, sort of letting it bubble up.
And as you do that, I guess you should be asking yourself some key questions. Like, how has my perspective shifted based on what I've learned? You know, did my initial idea, my working thesis, did it actually hit the mark? Or does it need a bit of a tune-up now?
Or even a major overhaul sometimes.
Right. And how do all these different facts connect back to my core research questions? And maybe have any new sort of unexpected subtopics or questions popped up that I might need to address now.
And that raises a really important point.
Yeah.
What if your thinking hasn't really changed much? Or you still feel a bit lost even after trying this?
Yeah, what then?
Well, that's perfectly normal. Honestly, it often is. This reflective pause, it's designed to reveal those first connections, but also to highlight areas that might need more thought, more digestion. It helps ensure that your ideas, not just the raw notes, are driving the project forward.
Okay, that makes sense. Your ideas lead, the notes follow. So by now, you've probably got this, impressively detailed collection of notes. You've been thorough. But here's where it gets, well, maybe a bit tough, actually. You won't use all of it.
That's absolutely right. And it can feel counterintuitive, can't it? You did all that work.
Yeah.
But thorough researchers, they gather vast amounts of information. They look at multiple perspectives, which is crucial. But effective writers are highly selective.
Selective.
They have to determine what's truly relevant, what's appropriate for their specific purpose, and importantly, what needs to be left out, even if it's interesting. The writer needs to be the controlling force here, shaping the content.
Not just reporting everything.
Exactly. Your notes are the resource, not the script you have to follow word for word.
And this isn't just for, academic papers, is it? I mean, think about the workplace.
Oh, absolutely.
A project team might do months of market surveys, gather tons of data for a new product launch, but how many managers have time to read all of that?
Almost none. They want the highlights, the key takeaways.
They want a few well-supported, distilled points. Focused, concise writing is so incredibly valued, you need to make those choices.
So when you're doing that sifting, start by identifying the notes that clearly support your main idea, your thesis. But don't just grab them. Analyze them critically.
How so?
Ask yourself, is this information from a really reliable, high-quality source? Is it appropriate for what I'm writing? Is the link between this piece of information and my main point really obvious? Or am I going to need to explain that connection, provide the analysis for my readers?
Oh, okay. Making the links explicit. Yeah.
And also, importantly, what personal biases or experiences might I be bringing to how I'm interpreting this? Being aware of your own filters, your own lens, that's crucial for responsible writing.
Okay, and here's something I've wondered about. What about information that seems to like contradict your point, it's tempting to just ignore it, right?
Oh, it is very tempting. But don't do it.
Oh.
Seriously, that dissenting information, those alternative views, they are incredibly valuable. At the very least, it gives you a sense of the broader conversation, what else has been said.
That landscape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even more powerfully, engaging with it can force you to question and refine your own thinking. It makes your work a genuine learning process, and honestly, addressing counterarguments often makes your own argument much stronger in the end.
Okay, so you've selected your core facts, you've thought about counterarguments. The next step is seeing how these different pieces of information connect to each other, right?
Yes, finding the patterns. Do most of your chosen sources seem to agree on a particular idea? Are certain key facts or maybe specific terms mentioned repeatedly across different sources?
Like keywords jumping out.
Precisely. Identifying these patterns helps you spotlight the most important ideas you need to discuss. But look for subtler connections too.
Subtler ones, like
Well, does one author maybe reference another's work that you also read? How do more recent insights perhaps build upon ideas from earlier findings you noted down? Seeing that evolution can be really insightful.
like tracing the conversation between the sources. What about redundancies, if you have the same fact from multiple places?
Good question. If you have solid support for a point from a really reputable source, say a peer-reviewed study, you probably don't need to also cite the same basic fact from like an online encyclopedia entry that's several steps removed from primary research.
Go with a stronger source.
Exactly. Go with the stronger, more direct source. It streamlines things and boosts your credibility. Be selective, even with supporting points.
And what about actual contradictions? Not just alternative views, but sources that seem to directly clash.
Okay, that requires careful handling. If one source cites some startling fact that you just cannot confirm anywhere else despite trying, it's probably safe to dismiss it, maybe footnote it as potentially unreliable if you must mention it.
But what if it's between reliable sources?
Now that's where your critical thinking comes in. If you find significant disagreements among sources you trust, you have to review them side by side. Evaluate each one. Which argument presents sounder evidence? Better methodology? A larger sample size, maybe?
So you become the judge, in a way.
In a way, yes. It's your job to critically assess them and then explain to your reader why you found one more credible than another. Or maybe even discuss why the disagreement exists and what that means. You can't just ignore it.
That reminds me of an example, someone who worked with Jorge. He was looking into low-carb diets. He had all these notes about the gut microbiome connection. Super interesting stuff.
Right.
But he realized, you know what? This is actually pulling focus from his main point, which was about metabolic effects. So he had to make the tough call and cut that material.
And that's key, isn't it? Learning to let go of good, but ultimately irrelevant information. It takes discipline.
It really does. Keep the focus sharp. So your initial thesis, that main idea you started with, it was just a starting point, wasn't it? Not set in stone.
Absolutely not. A working thesis.
Right, because after all this reflection and sifting and connecting the dots, it's very likely your ideas have evolved. And that's actually a good thing.
It's a great thing. It shows you've really engaged. So this is the point where you probably need to reevaluate, maybe refine that working thesis.
Even if the research generally supported it.
Yeah, even then. It's still a really good idea to fine-tune the wording, make it more precise, incorporate the specific details or nuances you've learned. Maybe your initial idea was a bit too simple or a bit too strong.
Like with Jorge again, right. He initially thought the media was just oversimplifying the benefits of low-carb diets, but his findings actually led him to conclude, well, no, they did have some real advantages, alongside the caveats. So he had to revise his thesis to reflect that more balanced, nuanced understanding he'd gained.
Exactly. It reflects the depth you've achieved.
So, okay, what does this all mean for actually, putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard? This leads us to synthesis, right?
Yes, the art of synthesizing information. Which sounds grand, but it's really about taking those different pieces, the facts, the ideas, the perspectives, and weaving them into a coherent whole. Creating something new that represents your understanding.
It sounds challenging.
It is. It's a complex mental task, and it's totally normal to find this part a bit difficult. Some concepts might still feel a bit fuzzy, maybe you feel a little uncertain. That's often a good sign, actually.
Really? Being uncertain is good.
It often means you're genuinely grappling with the ideas, challenging yourself to work thoughtfully, not just skimming the surface.
Okay. So how do you approach synthesis practically?
Well, a great way is to go back to your original research questions, or maybe even new ones that popped up during reflection. Use those questions to organize your selected notes, your ideas, your analysis, your conclusions. Those become the glue that holds everything together.
Ah, so the questions provide the structure for your argument.
They can, yes. You're not just presenting information dump style. You're synthesizing, analyzing, interpreting. Even in paragraphs that seem packed with details from your research, your voice needs to be there.
Explaining things.
Explaining what those details mean, why they're important, how they link together, how they contribute to your overall point. That's where your ownership really shines through.
Okay, we're almost there. You've reflected, selected, connected, synthesized, refined your thesis. The final step, right before you actually start drafting the main text, is choosing an organizational structure.
Yes, the blueprint for the whole piece. It's crucial for guiding your reader through your argument logically, like laying out the path in that museum exhibition we talked about earlier.
Makes sense. So how do you choose?
Well, sometimes the structure is kind of dictated by the assignment or the topic itself. If you're exploring the impact of, say, a new technology, a cause and effect structure might be the obvious choice.
Causes first, then effects. Logical.
Exactly. In other cases, you'll need to decide based on what best suits your specific topic and purpose. Maybe you need to compare and contrast two different approaches, or trace something chronologically, or present a problem and then propose solutions.
So you have options.
You do. And this is where outlining really comes into its own. Don't skip the outline.
Okay, I hear you.
Start by putting your revised thesis at the top. Then break your argument down into the major subtopics or key points you need to make to support that thesis.
Like main sections.
Each major heading in your outline will likely become a section or maybe a paragraph in your paper. And critically, for each of those major points, try writing a clear topic sentence.
A top A sentence for each section.
Yes, one sentence that clearly states the main point you're going to make in that section. It acts like a mini thesis for that part, keeping you focused and making it super clear for your reader to follow your logic.
Got it. Thesis, main points, topic sentences.
And always remember, your ideas form the backbone. The research is there to support them. It's not the other way around. Your structure should showcase your thinking.
And this applies outside of academia too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about, say, a medical incident report. Often follows a strict chronological structure, right, to lay out events clearly. Or if your company needs to choose between two vendors, you might write a comparison and contrast memo or email to your boss.
Yeah, outlining the pros and cons of each.
Exactly. Understanding when and how to use these different organizational structures helps you write efficiently and effectively, no matter the context. It ensures your message gets across clearly.
Wow, okay. So just to recap then, moving from that big pile of research to actually writing is, it's quite a journey. It's a really thoughtful process.
It is. It's about pausing to reflect on what you've learned first.
Then being really selective, even critical with your information. Not just using everything.
And then actively looking for the connections, the patterns, but also facing the contradictions between different sources.
And letting your main argument, your thesis, evolve as your understanding deepens.
Yes, refining that central point. And finally, organizing it all logically with a clear structure that serves your specific message.
Putting that blueprint in place.
Ultimately, your finished piece, whatever it is, it's a platform for your ideas. Your voice, supported and illuminated by the credible information you've carefully gathered and analyzed.
You're the guide, leading the audience.
Precisely. You're leading them through the landscape of understanding that you've explored and mapped out.
So as you, our listener, embark on your next project, maybe take a moment to ask yourself, how can I make my voice the clearest, the most compelling one in this conversation? How can I use my research as this powerful ally to really illuminate my insights?
Yeah, we really encourage you to not just present back the facts you found, but to actively, critically engage with them, to transform that raw information into genuine understanding and ultimately into a powerful message that resonates.
That's the goal.
That's the real reward of doing this work thoughtfully.
Thank you so much for joining us on Cascademy today. We really hope this helps you transform your research into something truly remarkable.
Cascademy, where brains go to broadcast. Cascademy, knowledge speaks tuition.